Today I am going to explain the action, crime, and thriller movie Homefront, released in the year 2013. The movie is about a former Interpol agent whose past enemies try to threaten him in the present. But before we begin to tell you this amazing story, please make sure to subscribe our channel so that you are updated with all the new exciting movie recaps we release in the coming weeks, and beware of the spoilers. The movie opens with a biker gang led by Danny Turry going to a secret laboratory where drugs are being developed. These drugs are to be transported after packaging for distribution. Danny is there with Phil Broker, who is talking to someone on the phone about transporting drugs by helicopter. Danny's son, Jojo Turry, objects to taking the drugs by helicopter and tells Danny that he will take the drugs by vehicle. But Phil convinces Danny to take the drugs by helicopter, which angers Jojo. On the other hand, we see that the Drug Enforcement Administration team is raiding there. Phil cuts the power and then starts shooting from both sides. Danny and Jojo drive away in a car. Meanwhile, we learn that Phil is an undercover cop helping to uncover Danny's illegal business. Phil follows Danny and Jojo by bike. When Phil tries to stop them from behind, their car crashes. Phil pulls Danny out of the car. Jojo gets out of the car and pulls a gun on Phil. Phil tells him to put the gun down, but he doesn't. Phil is forced to shoot Jojo in the leg, but Jojo refuses to give up. The DEA has them surrounded, and as Jojo tries to pull something out of his jacket, the cops think he's pulling his gun, so they open fire on him. Danny is very angry at the death of his son and threatens Phil that he will not leave him and his family. Phil never wanted this to happen to Jojo, so he storms off. Now the story moves forward 2 years. After retirement, Phil moves with his daughter Maddie Broker to his wife's hometown, where he wants to live a quiet life so that his family will not be in danger. Phil's wife died last year, and now he and his daughter are only the family. Maddie is playing in the school playground, where a kid named Teddy Klum teases her and takes her hat. Maddie asks him for her hat back, but he pushes her and drops her. When Teddy does not return the hat to her upon repeated demands, Maddie punches and kicks him. She injures him badly. When Phil receives the message, he goes to school where Teddy's parents, Cassie Bodine and Jimmy Klum, are very angry and berating Maddie. Miss Susan Hatch, a child psychiatrist, comforts Phil about Maddie. Cassie and Jimmy once again berate Phil and Maddie as Phil leaves with Maddie. Phil can't take it anymore and stops Jimmy from insulting them anymore, but Jimmy doesn't budge and tries to hit Phil, who tackles him to the ground. The sheriff separates them, and they both go their ways. Cassie expresses frustration with her husband and talks about contacting her brother. In the next scene, we see a party of young people going on, and they are making and using drugs. Then Morgan Bodine, known to everyone as Gator, arrives and stops them from making drugs in his area. Phil, on the other hand, puts Maddie to bed and tells her that he admires his daughter for how she defended herself today. Maddie tries to get her father's opinion about Miss Susan, but Phil brushes her off. In the next scene, we see that Gator arrives at his house and that his sister Cassie is there. Cassie tells him about Phil and forces him to get revenge on Phil for disrespecting Cassie's family. Here we find out that Gator is in the business of making and selling drugs, and his own sister is a drug addict, so Gator has to give her drugs. The next day, Phil drops Maddie off at school and plans to ask Susan to celebrate Maddie's upcoming birthday. Susan explains to him that he is new here, so he should try not to be insolent to the people here. Phil agrees and tries to reconcile with Jimmy. Jimmy tells him that Phil will have to apologize to his wife and son as well, and Phil agrees. He then goes to fill up his car with fuel, and there are a few people in another car who are Gator's men, and they fight with Phil. Phil also blows them up, fills up his car's tank, and drives away. On the way home from school after picking Maddie up, the sheriff stops them and asks Phil about the fight at the gas station. Phil asks the sheriff if he's been charged, and the sheriff says no. Phil says there's no need to talk about it then. The sheriff tells him that Phil has caught his attention, so he should be careful. When Gator's men fail, Gator himself goes to Phil's house. As Phil and Maddie ride horses away from the house, Gator punctures Phil's car and enters the house, where he searches the house. He takes one of Maddie's stuffed toys from her room and then goes to the basement, where in the stuff are Phil's case files, one of which is from Danny Turri's case. Gator is shocked to learn that Phil is a retired Interpol officer. Gator starts to leave with the file when he sees Maddie's cat, Luther, and he takes the cat with him. At night, Maddie is not getting her toy and Luther. She wants to leave the house looking for Luther, but Phil forbids her and goes to the woods to find him himself, where he finds a toy instead of Luther in a bad state. Gator reaches home and calls his girlfriend, Cheryl Marie Mott, asking her to come over as soon as possible. Cheryl works at a bar and tells Gator that she's busy right now. The next morning, Cheryl comes to meet Gator. He tells her all about Phil, and he says he will tell Danny about Phil and make a deal to distribute his drugs in return. Cheryl is afraid to get involved, but Gator convinces her. Meanwhile, Phil angrily goes to Jimmy and tells him to return Luther. Phil threatens Jimmy to stop his actions or it won't go well. Jimmy has no idea what Phil is talking about. Phil walks away without hearing anything more from him. Next, we see Cheryl meet with Danny's lawyer and give him Phil's file so he can show it to Danny. Phil gives Maddie a new stuffed bunny and tells her about her birthday party. Phil is very excited for Maddie's birthday because Maddie is about to turn 10. He meets both Cassie and Teddy when dropping Maddie off at school. Maddie extends a hand of friendship to Teddy and invites him to her birthday party. Back home, while Phil is renovating the house, he tells his helpful friend, Tito, that someone has broken into his house. Tito tells Phil that it's not something to ignore and that he should be careful. He tells him about Gator and his illegal business, and the sheriff closes his eyes to him. Jimmy and Phil's fight is known throughout town, so Tito gives Phil all the information about Gator and also tells him that Gator goes to the Lions Cafe for breakfast. On the other hand, when Danny's lawyer gives him information about Phil, he puts one of his men, Cyrus Hanks, on the job of finding Phil because he himself is serving a prison sentence. Cyrus meets with Cheryl and asks her about Phil's residency, but Cheryl talks about making her deal first with Cyrus. Cyrus is a ruthless killer and does not take kindly to Cheryl, instead threatening her to get Phil's address. On the other hand, Maddie has a birthday party at her house, where all her friends have come along with their parents. Her birthday party is being celebrated in a very good atmosphere. Teddy also comes with his mother. Maddie is happy to see Phil and Susan talking to each other. At night, Gator visits Cassie and tells her to stay away from Phil. He convinces Cassie to get off the drugs and take care of herself, but Cassie gets angry and tells Gator to leave. While Phil is sleeping, he receives a call from a friend who informs him of Cyrus's movements and that Cyrus and his men are coming towards Phil. The next morning, Phil arrives at the Lions Cafe and warns Gator to stay away from him and his house. Phil becomes suspicious because Gator is accompanied by Cheryl. Phil is sent a picture of Cheryl by his friend, who recently met Cyrus. Seeing this, Phil goes to Gator's house and investigates. Phil is about to leave Gator's lab after making some changes when he finds Luther. As he leaves with Luther, Gator's men attack and try to kill him. But Phil frees himself, kills them both, and leaves with Luther. Phil sees things getting worse, so he prepares to leave this place with Maddie and go somewhere else, but Maddie gets annoyed on hearing this and gets angry with Phil. At Phil's behest, Tito is carting the horses away while Cyrus arrives at Gator's house with his men. Gator refuses to go to Phil's house with Cyrus, so Cyrus takes Cheryl with him. When they arrive at Phil's house, Tito is in the stables. A man attacks Tito, but Tito fights back and kills him. He honks the car horn to alert Phil at home of the danger. Phil tells Maddie to leave and call 911 for help. Maddie hides in the basement. Phil pulls out his weapons, and there's a great fight. Maddie screams in fear at the sound of gunshots, causing a man to see her. Before the man can reach Maddie, Phil shoots him, and Maddie runs into the trees. Another man chases Maddie. Phil kills him too. Cheryl finds Maddie, takes her to the boat under the pretense of saving her, and takes her away. Phil doesn't arrive in time to save her daughter. The police also come to Phil's house. Maddie calls 911 and talks to her father. Phil tells her to calm down and tells her to look around and tell him so she can find out where Maddie is. Cheryl arrives at Gator's house with Maddie, and Gator is furious because he can't keep Maddie here under any circumstances since Maddie is the only witness. He wants to take Maddie away when Cassie arrives with Jimmy, and she knows what happened at Phil's house, and Cassie suspects Gator is involved. Phil had put some chemicals in Gator's lab bulb. As the bulbs begin to heat up when the lab lights are turned on, an explosion occurs, destroying everything. Seeing all this, Gator gets very angry. Cassie wants to take Maddie from Gator, but Gator wants to take Maddie with him. In the process, the gun in Gator's hand goes off and Cassie is shot. Gator leaves his sister there and takes Maddie. Phil knows where Maddie is, so he takes the police car to bring Maddie back. When Phil arrives at Gator's house, Gator is leaving with Maddie. Phil also chases after Maddie, with both of their cars racing through the roads. When a police car stops Gator's car, he drives the car onto a bridge. Phil also follows him, and Phil's car flips over. Gator stops the car, gets out, and proceeds to kill Phil. Maddie begs Gator not to hurt her father. Gator tells Maddie to get back in the car. Meanwhile, Phil gets out of the car and attacks Gator. He beats Gator badly, and Maddie stands there too. Phil is beating Gator gravely. Before he kills Gator, he catches sight of Maddie, so he stops and lets Gator go. Phil hugs Maddie and apologizes to her. He then takes Maddie away. Overall, Homefront is a great movie to watch with an amazing storyline, so make sure to check it out. To watch many more exciting recaps like this, don't forget to subscribe, as that's the only way we can keep making these fantastic recaps, and like this video. Let us know in the comments section about your next favorite movie that you would like us to recap. Thanks again for watching, and stay safe